lovelies. If you like type 4 natural hair care, this is the place to be. Subscribe, thumbs up, comment, do all those things. But today we are going to talk about detangling. It seems like it's the type 4 naturals nemesis, detangling. I swear, it is taking me years to really perfect my detangling process, and I just want to outline 7 main big mistakes that you could be making that's making your detangling sessions a nightmare. Let's get started. Number 1, rushing through your detangling hair session. Rushing, ripping through your hair because you're in a rush, you don't have enough time, you're impatient with it. I would say that's probably the number 1 reason for breakage. A lot of times breakage happens during the detangling process. There are other things, but we're gonna focus on this, right? So my solve for that is make sure that you have the time. So if that means that, it's gonna be late at night when everybody's asleep, when the kids are in bed, whatever, just make sure that you have enough time. If that's a Saturday or a Sunday or a weekday when no one's gonna bother you, set the space aside to do it. Also, make sure the environment is fun, right? Listen to a fun podcast or an informative podcast or an audiobook, or what I like to do when I'm feeling extra stressed is I will listen to singing bowls, which is like a meditative sort of music. You can listen to Beyonce, you can listen to whoever you want. While you're in the shower, you can get a Bluetooth speaker, put that bad boy up there, and then just go to town. That way it doesn't feel like you want to rush out of the shower. You just want to enjoy the moment. And it's something that I've learned to enjoy because as a mother, I don't get a lot of free time. And so I just sort of transformed this thought into, this is me time. This is me time, pampering, shaving, grooming, all of that. This is me time, and I'm going to enjoy it, dynamic. So that's how I sort of transformed my thoughts about my wash day and my detangling process. Number 2, not using enough water. I have used many a great product and wasted it because I just simply didn't have my hair saturated enough. And even still, if you feel like your hair is saturated, you might even need a little bit more water. Now, I learned this from Anthony Dickey, and honestly, it has changed my hair routine. It has changed my detangling process. So what I will do is I will make sure, my hair is all saturated with water. I will put on whatever, if it's a regular conditioner, if it's a deep conditioner, it has to be very slippery. I put that on my hair, let it sit for a little while, and then after you kind of let it sit so it can do what it needs to do, your hair sort of absorbs a lot of that water, at least mine does, and so I have to kind of quickly swing my hair back underneath my shower again so that I can go ahead and finger detangle. You can also use tools. There are so many different ways to detangle, but having enough water, making sure your hair is saturated enough with that water is going to be 100% a key in making sure that you have a successful hair detangling session. Number 3, not having enough conditioner or product, whatever you are using to detangle your hair. There are so many ways to detangle. You can dry detangle with oil. You can use food like avocado and banana to help sort of get through tangles. You can use aloe vera gel. You can use so many different things, products, agents, whatever. You can use those, but not using enough of it. Your hair really needs to be saturated with it. And if the cost of the product is an issue, you can get silicone-free conditioners and whatnot that are not going to break the bank. As a matter of fact, if you know of any, put them in the comments down below. I discovered a new one by Garnier Fructis that I thought worked pretty well, and it was for $2 or $3. It was really inexpensive, and I think that I'm gonna start incorporating that into my hair routines, cheapy one, so that I'm not so precious about it. As long as they're decent quality. And also, I just want to give a huge shout out to Callie. We ended up having like kind of a one-on-one session on our Patreon group, and these were some of the common mistakes that I talked about and we discovered together, right? And so shout out to you, Kelly, and the Patreon team, the Patreon Coily crew. Shout out to you guys, because this is why I'm doing this video right now. Number 4, waiting way too long in between your detangling sessions. You guys, it's so annoying to have to say this, because I know that how annoyed I would be like a couple years ago hearing somebody be like, you need to wash your hair more often, essentially is what I'm saying. And because you're just like, why would I want to put myself through this long behind process, like more than a couple times a month? Like, I'm trying to do this less, not more. Totally get it. But what I can say is that adding more water to your hair, essentially, whether that's washing it or washing it with conditioner, co-washing and things like that, you know, that helps to smooth your cuticle. That helps with the quote-unquote manageability of the hair. You know, the more hydrated your strands are, the less breakage that they'll have, and the more practice you get with, you know, making sure that those coils are elongated, stretched out, the less time in between the detangles, the less matting you're going to have. Because think about it, your hair sort of draws up and reverts the longer you go between your washes and your co-washes, right? So if you never give your hair enough time to completely revert back, you're going to have much faster detangling sessions. And that is something that I learned hands down this past year. My wash routines with detangling and everything, I got it down to an hour and a half and sometimes an hour. If I pre-poo, even no, when I pre-poo, because that's going to take a little bit of time, an hour and a half is about the average of how long I take to do my hair with all of the detangling. So I'm just saying, don't knock it till you try it. I was hard-headed too. You're gonna be like, I ain't hard-headed. It's just on. Look, I'm sorry. I'm just, you know, I'm kind of talking to my past self here. Number 5 is not washing and hydrating your hair enough. So yes, it kind of goes along with waiting too long in between. I kind of already just mentioned it, but you know, water creates this suppleness to the hair. It really hydrates the hair. And the more often that you do it, normally, like when I'm wetting my hair, I'm making sure that it's stretched. I'm making sure that, you know, I'm getting in with any of those areas that are matting and kinking. Like I am not allowing my hair to mat up, which is the next point, like just letting it mat up. I got a message from someone who, I guess for a year, didn't detangle her hair, like at all. And I never got an answer as to exactly why it happened. You know, this past 365 was a terrible time. You never know what anyone's going through, why they don't want to touch their hair. So it's not about judgment. However, you know, you're gonna have to break up that matting, right? You can, like, say if you have a situation where your hair is like completely, like nearly dreadlocked, you're gonna have to introduce some water to it, and you're gonna have multiple rounds of washing, conditioning, you know, separating the hair, you know, lightly finger detangling, combing it out. I mean, I remember watching this one video, and I think it took them 48 hours, like straight, of just trying to detangle that hair. And that's an example of what can happen. You know, our hair, I never want to approach detangling as like such a negative thing. It is a choice that we make so that we can have the versatility of the hairstyles that we have. But trust and believe, I admire the lock community because they are naturally just letting the hair do what type 4 hair does. This is the way that we were created. And you know, the fact that our hair mats and locks up and things like that, it can be seen as a negative if you want to do different things with your hair, but it also is just the natural nature of our hair. So I never want to come at it in a way of like hate or like disgust with our hair and that it does that, because I think that's so cool. And there are so many different people who like would love to lock their hair as quickly as type 4 can lock their hair. Trust and believe, I know people. And so, you know, I never want to come at it from that point of view, but if you want that versatility of your hair to be able to wear like twist outs and braid outs and different hairstyles, you are going to have to detangle and not let it get to that point of matting up. And number 7, this is a quick one, you guys. Trimming. You need to trim your hair. If you, for some reason, are starting to just have an extremely difficult time with your hair and you have no idea why, think of the last time you trimmed. Because then that means that the single strand knots, the split ends, they're grabbing onto one another, trying to hold hands, and you're trying to break them away. And it's just, if you don't trim your hair, it's gonna make it a lot harder for you. And you'll notice after a trim how much easier it is to detangle your hair. I am telling you, trims, do you guys remember your big chop? Like those of you who have big chopped, how easy it was to like get through your hair, and let's like take away from the fact that it probably, for the majority of us, we ended up with short hair and we weren't no longer dealing with like the 2 different textures. But like even after a fresh trim, it's just like so much easier. So if you're having a difficult time detangling, it could mean that your hair is signaling that you need a trim. So that's all I have for you. You know what? If you like this, thumbs up. When you thumbs up and you leave a comment and you engage in all of that, it triggers YouTube to send this to more people so that other people can see it. It helps with the algorithm, it helps my channel grow, and I appreciate and love you for doing it, and I'll be down in the comments chatting with you all. Take a look at my detangling hair video. That's gonna be very, very helpful. I actually have 2 different videos, but yeah, I'll link both of them. So the top one is going to be like how I detangle in the shower, and then the bottom one is going to be how I detangle out of the shower. I also just came out with an aloe vera pre-poo detangling kind of routine. I was trying out aloe vera, and I'll link that in the description box, you guys.
I'd like to give a special shout out to all the Patreons and the Coily crew and new members Jordana G and Abby I. Thank you all for your support. And to anyone who'd like to know more information on how they can support this channel, check out the link below or go to patreon.com/Latoya Ebony.
I love y'all. I wish you luck, much luck and success with your detangling process. And if you have anything to add to this list, comment down below. Love y'all.